All right, in Missouri, there's a candidate who had a little problem with his facts and figures on rapes and how rapes work. Here's what he said.
So if an abortion could be considered in a case of, say, a tubal pregnancy or something like that, what about in the case of rape? Should it be legal or not?
Well, you know, people always want to try and make that as one of those things. So how do you slice this particularly tough sort of ethical question? It seems to me, first of all, from what I understand from doctors, that's really rare. If it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down. But let's assume that maybe that did.
When I first heard that, it was almost like slow motion when I heard, if it's a legitimate rape. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before, a legitimate rape. I don't know, it looks good to me. Never heard that. And then I never heard the advice from doctors that the female body has a way to take care of legitimate rapes.
Shuts that whole thing down. If you've had an unwanted situation, then your body just shuts that whole thing down. Nothing can possibly happen. You can't become pregnant.
I don't think that's
true.
No,
you are a doctor.
I am a doctor, and I'm here to tell you that that's not true.
That's not true?
Yeah. So now I don't know anything about this guy. Do you know anything about him? Whether he's
I had literally never heard of him before.
I had never heard of him before these comments. I mean, now looking back, I knew he was going to be the candidate, but he's been in Congress for a significant amount of time. He's not this guy that just came out of nowhere. I haven't heard of any other problems he's had like this. I mean, it seems like he had a really bad 15-second period, and that's tough. Because this is
that's
really
that's not a gaffe. That seems like something he really thought.
Yeah,
it seems accurate.
It seems like he really believed this, like had bad medical information and was talking about it.
If he gets bad medical information this bad and doesn't say, Doc, I don't think I've ever heard that before.
I'm not arguing that it's not significant. I mean, I think it is.
Yeah, it's a significant lapse of judgment.
It's just it's a weird thing. I mean, here's a guy who was seemingly on the upswing, who had never had issues like this before, and then all of a sudden he has a one answer to one sort of off-topic question, and now everybody on the right is saying get out, and everybody on the left is saying, no, you shouldn't get out. You're doing fine. You're doing great job. You should stay in. You should stay until about 5:01 p.m. today, Eastern time, which is, by the way, the deadline. If he doesn't drop out by then, he's going to be on the ballot no matter what, and it hands it to Claire McCaskill. And as we talked about this...
Got to get Claire McCaskill out.
And how important is this, Glenn? We talked about this a little while ago. There are 9 swing elections in the Senate. For the GOP to have a chance to win the Senate back, they have to win 6 of the 9. One of the 9 is this. So take this. If he continues to stay in this race and it falls apart, as it seems like it probably will when everyone is familiar with these comments, it goes to they've got to win 6 out of 8. And if Romney loses 7 out of 8, it puts it in a position where it's almost impossible for them to win the Senate.
Okay. Give me the poll numbers in Missouri. Now, remember, this is a poll done by a polling group that's Democrats.
Yeah, it's interesting. PPP is the group, and they do scientific polling. They're not just, but they are usually associated with Democratic polling. The poll was taken last night between 6 and 9 p.m. So after these comments had been said, had been blown up, everybody seemed to know about them.
Hang on, let me just say this before you get into it. Do you know anybody that answers the phone between 6 and 9, and that if it is a poll, they answer the phone to an unknown number, and then if it's a polling thing, that they actually take the survey? Do you know anybody?
I have done it before, but
have you done it honestly?
We have a reason. Oh yeah, I find it interesting to see what they're going for. Usually these groups are going for something, because these internal polls that we talked about with Mitt Romney and that Bill O'Reilly brought up last hour, those are the same. That's the same way those things come in. And you can get a lot of information about what they're going for by taking those surveys because you listen to the way they ask the questions. They're testing certain phrases. There's a lot of interesting. But I'm a geek.
Point.
I mean, I'm a poll geek.
Yeah, you're a total geek.
Yeah, so I'm not the normal person.
Do you know anybody, Pat?
I don't think so.
I don't. Do you know Jeffy?
No, I don't even have a hard line.
I don't even
phone.
know who. I don't even know.
Yeah. That's true. That's a major problem with polling. They've had to figure out ways to try to get people on.
So I don't know how you even get a reliable set of people because the people that I know are not doing that. They're not taking that.
It's got to be so much harder to take a poll on the phone than it used to be because everybody know if you're getting an unknown call.
It used to be that people would be...
You would know who's calling and you just pick it up and see.
Right, but not only that, you would want to be part... I want to help out. I want to help on testing and product testing and everything else. I want to help. Now, get off the phone.
Yep.
Leave me alone.
Yep.
It's a total different attitude than it was.
I can't stand being bugged on the phone by anybody. I don't know.
Anybody. I mean, I hate... I really hate it when, like, phone rings and it's like,
any kind of solicitation.
It's like, what are you doing calling me on the phone? What? I'm busy.
Yeah, so especially if it's some sort of solicitation.
Yeah.
When you just buy a house, every single security company in the world somehow finds out you did, and they all call. And they all call every night. And they call 4 or 5 times a day. And it is the most... And I'm not pleasant to them when they do call, because I hate being... If I want your service... I'll call you!
Right.
This is my home. This is not where I want to be solicited. It drives me crazy. I hate it. And that's why I signed up for the do not call list. And what happened to that?
It still seems to work for me. I mean, we don't get too many of those anymore.
And you're the one who wants the calls.
Yeah, I'll take them. I like the poll calls because they'll be like, well, did you know your local congressman raised taxes 900 times? Would this make you more likely or less likely to vote for them? And they'll test 17 different ways to how are we going to message this in the campaign? I mean, and of course, like when I can tell it's a Democratic one, I'm like, I think the thing that would make me vote for this person less on the Republican side is if you hear that he's really a nice guy and he lowered taxes and he seems to be completely genuine. You should put that in your commercials, Democrats. I always try to just screw with them, but they do. I mean, and that's true. I mean, look I'm screwing with the polls. So I mean, it's hard to know whether you can rely on them. But shockingly, these are consistent.
Here's the poll, and it was done by a Democratic operative, or one that is usually associated with it as a Democratic operative, and you kind of wonder, is it because this, I'm guessing, is the reason why Akin is still staying in?
Yeah. The last poll before these comments had Akin leading McCaskill 45-44, up by 1 point. The poll yesterday after these comments has Akin still leading McCaskill 44-43. So the same lead as he had in May. Now, some people are saying, well, that's because McCaskill's just in Missouri really unpopular. If you don't like her, you don't like her. It's one of those sort of things. I mean, some would say they are interested to see if this Democratic-leaning pollster is coming out with Akin-friendly results to get him through 5:01 p.m. when he's going to be on the ballot no matter what. Because if he believes he has a chance to win, he's probably not going to drop out. And even, and then he's on the ballot, and then McCaskill wins no matter what.